Straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, there's a lot of drama unfolding. First up, contrasting tales of two leaders. One is loved even in losses, and the other is being booed to defeats. Chennai and Mumbai, two very successful franchises at India's T20 League, facing two very different paths. MS Dhoni garners love, while Hardik Pandya is only seeing hostility. Speaking of hostile environment, what is happening in Pakistan cricket? After the management forced Babar Azam out of the post, they have made a U-turn now and reassigned the captaincy to him, leaving Shaheen Afridi out in the cold. And key players are now undergoing rigorous fitness at an army camp. And is Liverpool the clear winner in the Premier League after Arsenal and Manchester United finish a goalless draw? All of that, Manchester City, pardon me, finish a goalless draw. All of that on the show, but first, Sports 360. Starting with tennis, Yannick Sinner of Italy has clinched the ATP Miami Open Masters 1000 title. He beat Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov in straight sets. This is Sinner's third title of the season. He dethrones Carlos Alcaraz to achieve his career highest ranking of world number 2. In men's doubles, Indian tennis star Rohan Bopanna and his Australian partner Matthew Ebden won the Miami Open Masters. The Indo-Australian pair came from behind to beat Croatia's Ivan Dodig and American Austin Krajicek. After the victory, Bopanna reclaimed his number 1 spot in the rankings. At 44, Bopanna is also the oldest Masters 1000 title winner in tennis history. Over in football and the La Liga, Real Madrid beat Athletic Club 2-0 to stay on top of the points table. Rodrigo scored twice for the Spanish Giants. Real Madrid will next face Manchester City in the UEFA Champions League on April 10th. Over in the Women's League Cup final, Arsenal beat Chelsea 1-0 to clinch the Women's FA Cup. Stina Blackstenius scored the only goal in extra time. During the game, Arsenal midfielder Frida Manum collapsed in second half stoppage time. Manum received medical treatment on the pitch and was eventually carried off. The 24-year-old is currently stable and is being monitored by Arsenal's medical team. The owner of Formula One Liberty Media have taken over MotoGP's parent company, Dorna Sports. The acquisition is worth $4.5 billion. Liberty Media will have 86% stake and Dorna will retain 14% of their equity. I have a bone to pick with MS Dhoni. Yes, for somehow managing to make everything about himself. Chennai loses its first game in the T20 League last night to the Delhi franchise, who won their first game this season. After a horrendous start, Rishabh Pant, the skipper, is truly back now. The batter, who is playing his first international tournament after recovering from a car crash, scored his first half-century. Matisha Patirana for Chennai is a death bowling maverick and he's just 21. But what are the headlines? What is everyone talking about the morning after? The same thing we are at this moment. MS Dhoni, rolling back the years, giving us his early years vibe. The long hair, the longer sixes, single-hand follow-throughs and getting down on one knee to whack another one out of the crowd. The crowd at Vizag went berserk and no one knew what the scoreboard really read. No one cared, except Delhi, of course. They wanted those 2 points, and I can imagine them almost reminding everyone else after that match that, hey, we actually won. Such is the energy, the magic, the charm and the charisma, the legend really of MS Dhoni. He began his career as a long-haired finisher, walking in with swag, with no care to the total, the target, the bowler, the situation or the world, and getting the job done. And somehow, now after decades, is trying to get his loyal, die-hard, passionate fans to picture just that, keep that image in what could be his last season. The final hurrah. Now, I don't know what is more incredulous, the fact that MS Dhoni still manages to amaze all by those swashbuckling hits and his overall demeanor, or that the sea of yellow at the stadium last night kept cheering for one man and by that extension his team, despite Chennai losing, and by a bit of a margin. Now, I'll tell you what is incredible is the love of the fans that acknowledge his one cameo with so much passion that nothing else really matters. The fact that MS Dhoni is not captain anymore doesn't matter. That's the effect of MS. He's still the leader of the pack, and he remains the biggest draw for any Chennai affair in the league. Everyone knows this and they acknowledge it. But things are not the same over at another franchise that has had just as much success over the years. That is Mumbai. They have a new leader in Hardik Pandya, someone who has grown in this franchise, who was not retained by this franchise, was picked up to be captain of the Gujarat team, went on to lead them to 2 memorable seasons, 1 win and 1 finalists, only to return to Mumbai and helm affairs instead of Rohit Sharma, and fans are livid. Now, we thought that would have abated as the season started, but it has only gathered momentum. Gujarat booed him first, Hyderabad fans followed, and now the young captain awaits his biggest test in Mumbai at the iconic Wankhede Stadium, a stadium where dreams have been resurrected and shattered. It's strange to see 2 contrasting receptions by cricket fans of 2 different franchises in the same country. One who is forgiving and loving as long as their leader MS Dhoni is around, and no matter he fails, no matter the team fails. And then there is, of course, a set of fans for a franchise that is not as welcoming and forgiving or as patient towards someone who has been in their very ranks till he was let go. Hardik Pandya, of course, has the support of the franchise and his teammates. One of the senior-most players in the squad, Piyush Chawla, spoke of the turnaround just being around the corner.
The way Hardik has taken it, he's just focusing on the game. He's not even worried about what the crowd is doing. And once we get a win under our belt, things will be totally different. Whatever people are doing in the crowd, you can't really help it because it's beyond our control. Whatever they are doing it, let them do. We just have to focus on our cricket.
Not just the Mumbai franchise, one of the seniors from the opposition that Mumbai faces today, Rajasthan, was also all praise for Hardik and spoke of how he will have to shut out all the noise, even though that will be hard.
There are a lot of passionate fans in this country. And speaking of Hardik specifically, he is one of my favorite Indian cricketers, and I do not think the booing will hold out for too long. I'm sure he is one of those guys who can put it aside and focus on the job.
Yes, it won't be easy. Feels like Hardik Pandya has reached towards the end of the rope. A few decisions concerning his own batting position, rotating certain bowlers, have not gone down too well for him and the team. But a lot of the criticism wouldn't have cropped up in the first place had the results gone Mumbai's way. So the only thing Hardik Pandya will be telling himself is to let the bat and ball do all the talking and do what he knows best. Take seniors in the side along, and yes, the fans are not on his side, but Mumbai is just one good result away from turning what is proving to be a horrific year to a bearable one. A change in momentum is all that's required, and once you know how to win, then it becomes a bit of a habit because the season is long. The match coming up against Rajasthan will be an electrifying one, and it will be interesting to see which side will the fans turn into support at Mumbai's home ground. Now, the one thing constant in Pakistan cricket is the host of uncertainties knocking down their doors. From players being uncertain about their contracts, to management being unsure about when theirs would be torn apart, to those helming affairs not really knowing when would their last day be. Pakistan cricket has been about moving from one controversy to the next. Dealing with one right after another, managing one crisis to the next one. With the T20 World Cup barely months away, Pakistan board's focus seems to be on firefighting their own decisions backfiring. Not too long ago, players were making U-turns over their retirement decisions. Mohammad Amir and Imad Wasim have come out of retirement. Now there's a U-turn on captaincy. In the latest turn of events, Babar Azam has been reappointed by the PCB as the white ball skipper. He replaced Shaheen Afridi, who had been made captain after Pakistan's horror run at the World Cup last year in India. The official decision came in this Sunday. In Shaheen Afridi's very short 4-month tenure, Pakistan only played a 5-match T20 international series against New Zealand and were hammered 4-1. This wasn't the only thing that went against Shaheen, though. In the recently concluded Pakistan Super League, Shaheen-led Lahore Qalandars finished bottom of the points table. He led his team to just 1 win out of the 10 games that they played. The pacer faced a lot of criticism, particularly for lack of intent and poor decision-making, which also involved oddly promoting himself up the batting order and his poor execution when it came to his bowling. Babar Azam too faced a lot of criticism during the time he was captain, so why was he reappointed, and that too only 4 months after he was pushed out? Something Shaheen's father-in-law and former Pakistani cricketer Shaheen Afridi has also questioned.
I am surprised by the decision by very experienced cricketers in the selection committee. I still believe that if change was necessary, then Rizwan was the best choice. But since now the decision has been made, I offer my full support and best wishes to Team Pakistan and Babar Azam.
Now, while certain section of the fans are elated by PCB's decision, another section thought it was rather harsh. Former cricketer Kamran Akmal, who was critical of Babar Azam's captaincy during the ODI World Cup, went ahead and made a sarcastic comment about Babar's reappointment. He said everyone knew Babar will be made the captain, but here's what we didn't know. The PCB went ahead and in a statement claimed that Shaheen has backed Babar's reappointment and says that he will stand by his former captain. But according to reports now, Shaheen has denied making any such comment and is furious that he's being credited for things he never said, and that too by the board itself. There's more. Reports say Shaheen Afridi has not been given proper clarification or any clarity on why he was replaced and is said to be frustrated by the lack of communication by the board in this matter. The manner in which the captaincy announcement has been practically ripped off from one superstar of Pakistan cricketer and handed back to another shows there is trouble brewing in the Pakistan cricket corridors, not just between the two players, but also the board, who seems to be unable to handle this. For months now, there have been reports of a rift between Shaheen Afridi and Babar Azam, and the latest episode here only reiterates the same. But are we too surprised? Not so much. Pakistan is a country where even prime ministers don't finish their terms. Cricket administration is far more combustible. But Pakistan have their own unique way of dealing with things. If the team went through a worst run of form, they decide to let go of their coaches. And if the results aren't coming in, they sack their captain. Another chapter that is unfolding is tied to their preparations for the World Cup. First of all, there is no coach yet. We hear a couple of them in line. Australian Jason Gillespie and India's former coach, South Africa's Gary Kirsten, are in talks, and that there will be 2 coaches for red ball and white ball cricket. And then, of course, the latest regarding players preparing for the World Cup. Recently, a lot of talk has been about Pakistan cricketers' lack of fitness. Not too long ago, Mohammad Hafiz, their former director of cricket, too condemned the lack of attention being given to fitness. After being sacked, he said that former coach Mickey Arthur and Babar Azam never prioritized fitness of the players. So the PCB has now come up with a grand plan. The team is on a 2-week training program with the Pakistan military. Most players, including Mohammad Amir, are attending the camp in Kabul. Babar Azam and a few others who were traveling joined the camp a little late. And now I understand having a military regime or having a militant routine to follow and be disciplined about. The PCB, though, seems to have taken this phrase rather literally. But it is in keeping with the way the board has dealt with affairs surrounding the men's cricket team. Always in extremes. There is no middle ground. Player went ahead to play T20 leagues. They take away his contract. Then reinstate it. Team doesn't make it to the World Cup semi-final. They fire the coaching staff and then scramble to make U-turns. The next challenge that will show how far Pakistan has got over the last few months comes in the form of a T20 series against New Zealand, and that's at home. That's the litmus test before the big one, the World Cup. When Arsenal and Manchester City clashed last night, they had the best opportunity to go on top of the Premier League points table. But a goalless draw not only ruined their chances, but also ended up giving Liverpool the edge and going on top of the pile. The Arsenal versus City clash, which was touted to be a classic, ended up being a rather boring affair at the Etihad. And going by the intensity of Premier League, you know it takes one poor game and an exceptional one to decide the outcome of the season, and that exactly happened yesterday. If it was poor show from 2 of the title contenders, Manchester City and Arsenal, it was yet another comeback magic from Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. So much so that even Pep Guardiola, the Manchester City boss, couldn't refrain from admitting that Liverpool are looking and playing like title favourites.
The Arsenal vs Manchester City clash at the Etihad was touted to be a Premier League classic. The encounter was expected to be a high-scoring thriller, but ended up being an ordinary draw. There was a lot of buzz before the game. The clash on March 31st was expected to be the potential title decider, a clash between the master and the student. And the student, Mikel Arteta, was deemed favourite because of injury concerns in the City camp. But the much-hyped contest failed to live up to the expectations. The goalless draw was far from graceful as points were shared. Pep Guardiola's side dominated with 73% ball possession. But a strong and wise Arsenal outfit didn't let numbers go against them. They stuck to the basics and marked the key man. Erling Haaland was given little room by Gabriel Magalhaes, and it resulted in a poor showing by Haaland. A frustrated Haaland even clashed with Gabriel after the game. But before the matter escalated, Guardiola intervened. That fight was the only highlight from Haaland's lackluster game. Haaland received a lot of criticism for his poor display against City, and the biggest one came from United legend Roy Keane.
The level of his general play is so poor, not just today. Laying stuff off, headers or whatever it might be. In front of a goal, he is the best player in the world, but his general play for such a player is so poor. He is almost like a League 2 player. His general play has to improve.
It wasn't just Haaland who failed in the crucial encounter. Phil Foden, who has been a key man for City this season, failed to make his mark. And the substitutions too didn't help Guardiola. Jack Grealish came off the bench, but unfortunately, he too failed to convert the chances. And despite the possession and 12 shots, City could not go past a defensively strong Arsenal. The draw hurt Arsenal's chances to stay on top of the table too. But it was even more disappointing for City, as they have failed to win a single game against Liverpool or Arsenal in the Premier League this season. No wonder they're sitting third on the points table. And after the loss, City boss Guardiola couldn't refrain from admitting that table toppers Liverpool are favourites to win the title.
Always who's first is his favourite. In the second favourite is Arsenal. In the third we are. It's not in our hands. Only we can do is Aston Villa next game try to to win the game. It's only we can do, because always we were top of the league, we were the favourites. It was in our hands, now it's not.
Liverpool aren't just favourites because they're on top of the Premier League table, but they are contenders because they continue to capitalise on the chances offered to them. Apart from a 1-1 draw against City on March 10th, Jurgen Klopp's men have made the most of all opportunities presented. And their never-die attitude has been integral to their campaign. Yesterday's game against Brighton was another reflection of that. Inside 2 minutes, Brighton were leading at Anfield, but Liverpool came back strong to beat the tourists. First, it was Luis Diaz's goal in the 27th minute that brought Liverpool back on level terms. Then it was a Mohamed Salah classic in the 65th minute that sealed the game for the Reds. So it's not over unless Liverpool says it's over. And that's why it wasn't the City vs Arsenal draw that took Liverpool on top. But it was also because Liverpool continued to surge as the season progresses. With 9 more games left in the Premier League, Liverpool are 2 points ahead of second-placed Arsenal. And with 64 points, Manchester City are third. So clearly the point difference isn't much, and anything can happen from here on. But it's the games between title contenders that prove to be crucial, and Liverpool seems to be a master of it. Given it's Jurgen Klopp's last season with the Reds, and the players are aware of it. That's what makes Liverpool a far deadlier opponent. From here on, it's their title to lose.
It's time for Last Serve, and today it's a rather emotional story we're bringing to you. Ben Binyamin, an Israeli footballer, lost his leg during one of the Hamas attacks. But that has not pulled the plug on his passion. He's training with Israel's amputee football team and dreams of lifting the Euro 2024 Cup in France. What a story of resilience to start your week with. Passion that has no limits. But thanks for staying on to Firstpost. We've come to the end of the show here today. But as always, we bring you more such stories continuously here. So stay on and take care till I see you next.